Hey guys, welcome to week 26 on theReelDVDWatchers. This week I decided to do something different and review Smallville, the complete 8th season, and the reason I did this is because Smallville ended this week with its season finale, which I have not yet seen at this point, but I figured I might not get to do it fast enough because it airs Thursday and my review is Friday, so I figured I'd just review the complete 8th season now and assume that the season finale will not ruin everything. Anyways, Smallville began its 8th season in September 2008. It had a lot not going for it. The original producers had left the series after 7 years, and on top of that, the two main cast members, Michael Rosenbaum and Kristen Crook, who played Lana Lang and Lex Luthor, I switched those up, whatever, they decided to part the series after the contracts had ended on the 7th season and pursue other interests. So the series really was going into territory that most series fear. They lost producers, they lost some major cast members, and they were going on a relatively high numbered season. That's usually not a good sign. And yet somehow Smallville managed to rise above the occasion and actually become almost a better show because of all these changes. In its 6th and 7th season, I love them. They're not the best, but personally, I can admit that I noticed they stalled Clark's journey completely. They even had reasons that they literally pretty much outright said are his reasons for stalling his progress as Clark Kent to Superman. And they were great seasons, but and with great stories. You know, they had the Justice League, they had the Phantom Zone storyline, they had the Veritas storyline. None of this will make any sense, but to most of you. But you know, they had engaging stories that kept me interested. But at the same time, you could see that Clark's journey was being stalled. This season, however, they completely threw that all out the window. Not like pretend none of that happened, but just threw out this let's stall Clark's journey idea, and actually progressed him. He is now in Metropolis, you know, working at the Daily Planet and saving people under a double identity. And so he's really kind of grown into himself. And one of the things I really like about this season is the Clark Kent, Lois Lane chemistry. Erica Durance, who plays Lois Lane, and Tom Welling, who plays Clark Kent, have had great chemistry this season. Some of the best, I think, the show has ever seen. The characters really have grown from, you know, the bantering enemies, so to speak, to growing not only romantic interest in each other, but also respect as friends and as co-workers. And it's great to see those two together, and their performances are really, really great, as I said. In addition to that, in trying to replace, or not replace, because you can't really replace Michael Rosenbaum or Kristen Crook, but they tried to add in two new characters into the series, both who would become adversaries for Clark this season. And they decided to do that in the form of Tess Mercer, who's played by Cassidy Freeman, who is a kind of inspiration of the Miss Tessmacher character in the original Superman film by Richard Donner, but she's not that character. She's completely different and on her own. It's like an inspiration, a sort of Lex sidekick character, but not that character exactly. And then Davis Bloom, played by Sam Witwer, aka Doomsday. I'll start with Tess. Tess came in as a with a lot of big shoes to fill, really. And you can't replace Rosenbaum, you really can't, because his performance as Lex Luthor was so great. Really the first three-dimensional portrayal of Lex Luthor, at least in the live-action adaptation of the Superman mythology. But Cassidy Freeman comes as close as anyone could ever really get. She starts off as this android almost, not literally, I mean just this, I'm so devoted to finding Lex and keeping Lex's legacy, and something happens in the course of the series that actually kind of changes that. And she becomes her own character, and I think that was really great to see her as a straight-up villain, you know, Lex's little hench woman. And then now she's sort of progressing into her own persona, really. And she's still doing evil things, but at the same time, you understand them because she's actually trying to push Clark towards his greater destiny. She's doing sort of less than good things to do that. But it's a nice parallel to Lex, who was doing bad things, thinking he was doing the right thing, but he really wasn't. Whereas Tess is doing bad things, thinking she's doing the right thing, and she is, although it could have great consequences on her. And I think Cassidy Freeman's performance is great. I really like this character, actually, and I hope she comes back next year. Sam Witwer plays Davis Bloom, as I said, a paramedic who has these constant blackouts. And when he wakes up, he has blood on his hands, and he's completely forgotten everything that happened. and this is the Doomsday persona taking over. It's sort of like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing, where he can't control it. It doesn't really happen at any particular point. The Doomsday monster will take over. And a lot of fans are complaining that because in the comics, Doomsday is this vicious, savage beast, who in the comics was the only villain capable of killing Superman for a number of issues. He was gone, like, from the comic books for quite some time. And obviously he came back. But people were complaining that how could they make him a human? And I think this has worked really well because it's become almost a tragic story. A nice parallel to Clark Kent, because as Clark Kent was discovering his Kryptonian alien heritage and how he's destined to save mankind, Davis is sort of discovering the same thing, except instead of saving mankind, he's destined to destroy it. And it's a really tragic story because Davis is a good guy, and he can't control any of this, and he can't control the fact that he's going to kill people. And I think one of the more tragic things about it is he finds ways to suppress the monsters that are also sort of not good ways. I don't want to spoil too much. But he also comes to a point of desperation where he's willing to take his own life. He's willing to do sort of bad things to suppress this monster, or finally end the torture that he's in. And it's really been a dark storyline that I've really enjoyed, to sort of see this character fall, and not because he's done bad things, because he's destined to do bad things that he can't control. Speaking of, my only complaints about this season have been the fact that when Lana Lang returned, because Kristen Kruk, because of the writer's strike last year, was unable to complete her contract, so she had 5 episodes that she owed for this season pretty much. When she comes back, you know, the storyline really paused. Like, it was like a nice straight line, and Lana came and it's like, let's do a little storyline, and then when she was gone, let's go back on track. And it really took you out of the season, and it was really annoying because they did the whole Clark-Lana relationship again. You know, when you brought her back, it was like, why do that again when she's only on for such a limited time and you know it's not going to work out? It was really just irritating. And another thing is that Justin Hartley, who plays Oliver Queen, or the Green Arrow, came on as a series regular, and he had a nice little storyline at first, you know, first few episodes, you know, him wondering why he's doing what he's doing as a superhero, you know, is it really worth it? And then afterwards, like now at the end of the season, he's back up having his own little story. For the rest of the time, like in the middle of such, he really didn't have anything to do. He just kind of came on as a guest star who appeared in the credits. And I really think it was a wasted opportunity there, personally. Anyways, yeah, so that's what I have to say about Season 8. I think Season 8 has really done a good job this year, against all odds. It has the least number of bad episodes. Every season has an episode where I go, God, that was awful. This season, I have episodes where I don't like them as much, but there's not been one episode, to be honest, where I've said, that was horrible. I think one of the things is that each episode, there's only really been one filler episode this year, and even then, it sort of was a humorous one, and so it was kind of a nice break from the darkness that was consuming this season. Allison and Mack had a nice storyline. Clark and Lois have their little thing going. I also like that even though Lex is gone, his presence is really felt. I love the fact that DC Comics characters and really in this season really come in full force. You have the Legion of Superheroes, you have Doomsday, you have all these little smaller characters that aren't necessarily famous from the comics that make appearances, and it's really done a great job of moving forward to becoming part of the Superman universe, of the DC Comics universe. Everybody has something to do except for Green Arrow, as I mentioned. Even Jimmy Olsen has had an interesting storyline, and finally calling Chloe on her bullshit. Yeah. But this has been a really, really great season with really great stories that have really just kind of engaged me more. Like the last 2 seasons, 6 and 7, I was liking, but I didn't like as much as I had 1 to 5. This season, I think it really just got a nice kick back into what it was meant to be. And it's been a great, great dark storyline. I mean, you have characters murdering, you have characters struggling with dealing with the fact that they may have to murder, you have characters taking dark turns, you have characters getting involved with drugs. It's really been a gloomy, sort of depressing almost kind of season, and I'm really interested to see where the season finale takes that. So yeah, the Smallville season has been great. I can't wait to rewatch it on DVD. I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. So thanks for watching, those who bothered to finish watching once they knew it was a Smallville review, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.